Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of What's on My Desk. Today I brought over a little bit of holiday bling, as I'm going to call this episode. I happen to have an RM23 rose gold full Pave. I have a Cartier boutique Panther watch, as well as a crazy Piguet Van Cleef Tourbillon. Now I know it seems that all these watches tend to have the same theme in mind, blinged out pieces, expensive pieces obviously, but really there's a huge difference, and I'll show you guys why in a minute. First, I'm going to talk about the hottest stuff out in the market today. Now this is the RM23. Is it a ladies piece? Is it a men's piece? Well, most will say this is a ladies piece. Well, actually it's unisex. A man and a woman can wear this watch. If you're into diamond watches like I am, you can wear this timepiece. Personally, this one is a little too feminine for me in terms of the overall design, with the red inside the dial and the starburst markers, Roman numerals, as well as the rose gold with the white strap. Definitely has a feminine vibe to it. But if you put this watch on a rubber strap, let's say a black rubber strap, it can certainly be a male's watch. Richard Mille is probably one of the hottest things out in the market today, so they tend to price their watches up there. You guys know them to be those overpriced toys, as everybody tends to call them. Nevertheless, the same quality watchmaking goes in behind the RM23, like into the RM1103s and a lot of their more complicated pieces and tourbillons. Obviously, the price is going to be hefty. When you get into any watch out there and you start adding a bunch of diamonds to it, companies tend to charge an arm and a leg. And I actually did the math on a few pieces, and I literally took the carat weight of the diamonds that go in a particular watch. You can see that on the website. They usually tend to be the same for every watch, and they tend to charge up for diamonds. So what I mean by charge up by diamonds, per carat. So if a particular watch carries, let's say 30 or 40 or 50 carats of diamonds, if it's regular diamonds, they tend to charge anywhere from $10,000 to $12,000 per carat. Just to give you an idea, and mind you, these are top quality Wesselton diamonds. These are perfectly matched up, and I'll talk about that in a second. But still, it's something that any jeweler out there can probably pick up for around $1,000 to maybe even $1,500 a carat, and their markup is outrageous when it comes to diamond set watches. This watch retails for $195,000. Had this not been a Richard Mille, you would see the resale value significantly dip. But considering the dealer cost is only 35% off on this watch, if you want to get out there and buy this watch, you'd be hard-pressed to find this watch for more than 25 to 30% off retail. Case in point, this watch trades at around that $140,000, $150,000 mark, brand new, if you can find it. So what's the final verdict on this watch? Again, if you can afford a piece like this, this is definitely a stunning piece. This is the latest, this is the greatest, this is the hottest thing out on the market today. Again, it's expensive. There's no doubt about it. In terms of holding its value, and I discussed this before because someone asked me on one of my Q&As, somebody specifically asked me about RM diamond pieces, how they hold their value. Well, because they make significantly less of diamond encrusted pieces, whether it's the 23 or the 07 or the 10, et cetera, the value tends to hold, again, because of supply and demand. Overall, Richard Mille makes so little watches, which is why they're selling over list, most of them, that they tend to hold their value. But again, you have to keep in mind that there's not a whole lot of people out there that are going to buy a fully encrusted diamond piece. So the diamond pieces tend to sell for less and resell a bit more difficult. And not in terms of price. For example, if you paid $140 for this, doesn't mean you're going to resell it for $70. It's just the reselling part itself becomes more difficult because it's not as easy to find a client for one of these versus, let's say, an RM1103 rose gold. Hope that makes sense. Now, I mentioned to you that this is not just a pile of blinged out watches, that each one of them is different in its own right. So next I'm going to talk about this Panther piece from Cartier. At a glance, without having to read the inscription on the dial, right off the bat, you're going to know that this is a Cartier. Why? Because there's a tiger on the dial.
They're great!
Cartier is synonymous with panthers and tigers and everyone else from the feline family. This is what they do. This is Cartier. And you can actually see the outline in the back that actually also simulates that tiger. Now, what this is actually a boutique piece. If you go out to a dealer that carries Cartier watches, you're not going to see this watch in their showcase. Most likely, if you go out to a lot of the Cartier boutiques, you're not going to see this watch anywhere, because the boutique pieces are just that. A lot of times these things are made to order, and you see one and you don't see another. In fact, I've seen similar pieces to this one, but I've never seen another one like this since I bought this watch a couple of months back. So what does that mean? What that means is this is what they call a blind item. The retail on this watch is about $158,000. If you were to actually even go out to try to confirm that, you would actually really have to get a hold of Cartier, send them pictures, and really get an answer, most probably from one of their head flagship stores where somebody actually knows who this was made for and what the original retail price was. By blind item, that means its resale value is also blind. It's what one is willing to pay for it. And we sell it based on the amount of money that we pay for the watch. And we base it on previous experience on watches like this, not a watch such as this, because odds are I will never have another one of these, nor will I ever see another one of these, maybe something similar. So I kind of can gauge the market and what this thing should sell for. What are we selling for? I think we're selling it for $90,000, so a little bit more than half price. And the reason for that is, again, a lot of clients reach out to us and say, listen, I want something unique. I don't want anything that's on the internet. I don't want anything that anybody can get me. I want something completely different. And this is when I say, okay, well, check this out. Have you ever seen this before? And the answer is usually no. And again, I told you guys we're working about a 5 to 10% margin, so you kind of get an idea what I paid for this particular timepiece. With that said, when a timepiece like this, I paid less. And the margins that we make on pieces like this are actually more. This is one of those oddball pieces why I have to make a bigger margin. Why do I have to make a bigger margin? Because I am not going to find a customer for a watch like this overnight. And again, we're not in the business of buying and selling because we're a multi-million-dollar company. I'm in the business of actually making my money work for me. So if I'm going to invest a significant amount in a timepiece like this, and I know it's not going to take me 30 days to sell it, it may take me up to 6 months to sell it, then I tend to buy it with that expectation and to ensure that my margins are actually higher so that I get a proper return on investment. Simple math, right? So blind pieces, there's a lot of blind pieces out there. Most of them tend to be boutique edition pieces from various brands, not just Cartier. What happens with those pieces, this is where you truly have to apply what I've always preached throughout all my episodes, and that is to buy what you like first and foremost, as long as you can afford it, and don't worry about resale value, because you don't know what the resale value on this piece is. I don't know what the resale value on this timepiece is. If I sell this to a client, and let's say hypothetically I paid $60,000 for it, and I sold it to a client for $90,000, when he goes to bring the watch back to me, I'm gonna wanna pay him around the price that I originally paid for the watch. Now, it's also based on relationships, and I wouldn't want to have a client take a $30,000 hit. Sometimes they'll trade it in for something else, so I'll pay them a little bit higher. But let's say someone else brought this watch to me, not a client I sold it to, I'm gonna wanna go back and pay the same $60,000 for it. So, you know, quote unquote, there's your resale value, but that's based on what I pay. You can bring this to 10 different dealers today on 47th Street in Dubai and Hong Kong, wherever, and you're gonna get 10 different prices that are gonna probably differ by $40,000. Why? Because nobody really knows. These are blind items. This is something that we tend to buy on more or less a feel based on our personal experience and based on the clientele that we have. So there are plenty of blind pieces out there like that, and I'll try to bring a few more in episodes and maybe dedicate an episode to it. But this is one of those things. This is a completely blind item. So you're going in blind. You're looking at this timepiece, and I'm telling you that would be $90,000, and you say, you know what, I like it enough. I'm going to pay $90,000 for it, and I'm going to put this on my wrist and walk away without ever having to be concerned in regards to what this watch will bring should you decide to resell it. Last but not least is, I guess I saved the best for last. I'm going to show you this Van Cleef Tourbillon, and this to me is an absolutely stunning and amazing timepiece. Tourbillon, they time, full baguette graduating dial. You sort of see the baguettes start out small and sort of spread out to the bottom of the dial. Full baguette bezel, full baguette case, a diamond in the crown. Even baguettes in the back of the case and little timers in a tourbillon cage in the back, as if anybody's going to see that. Look at the beautifully executed buckle on this timepiece. Again, baguettes laid out in the deploying buckle. Is this a ladies' watch? Is this a men's watch? Well, theoretically, this should be a men's watch because of its size. This is a 44 millimeter watch. But am I going to sell this to a male? Most likely no. Most likely this will go to a female. But then again, I've sold timepieces such as this to lots of guys, specifically a lot of Baguette Jacob pieces that I happen to love just the same. How is this different and doesn't fall into the mix of just blinged out watches? Well, this is the watch from the realm of what I call you watches, okay? When somebody out there wants to get himself a watch and show off their wealth, show off the fact that, hey, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to buy a timepiece such as this, which horologically is really not that big a deal. Yeah, granted, it's a tourbillon, which Van Cleef obviously didn't make themselves, but the money is in the baguettes. And the fact, when you take this watch outside and you put it out into the sun, you can notice from 2 miles away, this watch shines so bright and it's so beautiful in person that, honestly, no video or words can describe this particular timepiece. Again, I'm biased. I happen to like diamond watches. I would wear this watch. I would wear it on a daily basis, and I would probably pick and choose a place I would wear a watch such as this, most likely some kind of a black tie event, etc. Nevertheless, this is from that family where somebody walks into the Van Cleef boutique and says, you know what, I want something really, really, really expensive. I want something that nobody really, really ever has. Because this is a limited edition of 8 pieces. Now, the fact that it's a limited edition doesn't really carry any value or any more hype. The reason they make a limited edition is because there's only so many of these a company can make, because there's only so many of these they're going to sell. It's expensive to make these pieces. Why are Piguet diamonds more expensive than regular set diamonds? Well, it's the diamonds themselves first and foremost. It's extremely difficult to pick the amount of diamonds that this watch has and to match them up perfectly where they flow seamlessly next to each other. Then, putting them together in the fashion that they're put together, every single diamond is cut to fit next to each other. So imagine having to first find a collection of diamonds that's going to match throughout the entire case. And there's a lot of diamonds here. I don't remember exactly how many carats this thing has. It's on the paper somewhere. But imagine having to take every single one of these diamonds, cut them in such a way to where they all fit next to each other perfectly. If you took a loop to this watch and saw how these diamonds are actually set, you'd be shocked how perfect every angle is, how perfectly each diamond lines up. The lines between the diamonds are completely straight. Not a whole lot of guys out there can do this type of work. The most famous person for that would probably be Jacob & Co. if you look at some of his rainbow tourbillons. And I wouldn't be surprised that it's the same setter that did the same job for Van Cleef, because there's not a whole lot of guys out there that can do this at such high levels. And that's what makes it that much more expensive. Retail, $660,000. If I took all the diamonds out and melted the gold and sold off the tourbillon separately, I wouldn't get anywhere near that number. Now, the cost is high in producing these pieces. If I had to guess, it did still cost Van Cleef's, around that $150,000, maybe $180,000 range just to put this watch together, but yet the markup is still high, $660,000. What does this watch sell for? You would say, oh, Roman, this must discount high. First of all, how many guys or girls are out there going to be able to afford a watch like this? And this is what I've said before. The more expensive the retail, you have to think in terms of who can actually buy them. How many people out there can actually buy them, or first afford them and then actually want to spend that kind of money on the watch? If you take 100 people that can afford this watch, maybe 1 or 2 are actually going to want to buy this watch because it is indeed very, very gaudy. But nevertheless, the resale value is still great on this watch. You'd be hard-pressed to pick this watch up for more than 30 to 35% off retail, which is great considering its retail price tag and how unique this watch is in terms of people that would want to wear it. Case in point, I think we're selling this watch at that $420,000 mark, which makes it roughly 30% off retail. And this is another one I'm not going to sell overnight, but I always go for pieces such as this because there's a lot of dealers out there that can get you a Rolex GMT. There's a lot of dealers out there that can get you a AP Royal Oak or 5980 Rose Gold Patek, just to go through some of the hottest pieces out there today. But there's not a whole lot of guys that can pull out something special. And all 3 of these pieces are indeed something special. There's not a whole lot of RM23s out there, full Paves with diamonds. There's not a whole lot of these Cartiers out there. Again, I don't think I'll ever find another one. And there's only 8 of these that were made, and I don't know of another one in the market. And believe me, the world market in watches is entirely small. If somebody had another one of these, I would know about it. I'm the only one in the world that has this. So if somebody's out there looking for something different, something special, something that's completely lights out, such as this watch, I want to be the guy to have that. And it takes a lot of balls to stock stuff like this. Some dealers come up to my showcase sometimes at some of the trade shows, like, wow, why would you buy that? That's such a difficult sell. Yes and no. Everything sells eventually. I do a lot of wholesale, so if somebody out there has a call for a big heavy-duty diamond piece or some sort of a tourbillon or a grand complications, they know who to call. And if I have to sit on this for 3 to 4 months, then by all means. But in the very least, it's also kind of like a pride of having stuff that's super unique. And it's not necessarily have to be that expensive. It's just something that nobody else has. So as I told you in the beginning, a lot of these watches, although it seems like I have a pile of blinged out watches, let's bling out the holidays, so to speak. Again, a lot of these things that I discuss are very different in their own right. Again, this is a regular production timepiece that is expensive due to the nature of the brand, because Richard Mille is one of the hottest brands in the market today. Hence, it doesn't discount much because of their overall production. A blind piece, such as this Cartier, again, Don't be afraid to get out there and buy something that nobody knows something about. You're going to end up with something that nobody else has. And last but not least, if you want to go super gaudy, if you want to impress someone, if you want to get something that nobody else out there has, my suggestion is to go for a baguette piece, whether it's from Van Cleef, whether it's from Jacob & Co., whether it's from Chopard or Piaget, who tend to specialize in pieces like this. Get out there, go for it, and don't be afraid of the resale value, because when you end up with something that nobody else has, or there's maybe a few of those made in the world, the resale value will still hold, contrary to some of the other really expensively retail timepieces out there. Last but not least, talk about what's on my wrist real quick. Today I'm wearing the 40mm Day 2 rose gold chocolate dial. I think this is a watch I had on one of the previous episodes. Easy to wear, 40mm, fits my wrist perfectly, better than the 41mm. Again, probably my most favorite combination of the President in terms of color, and that is the rose gold with the dark chocolate dial. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this little bling for the holidays, what's on my desk. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button. If you're not subscribed to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Turn on that bell notification so you know when my videos come out, although you know I'm out here every Tuesday and Thursday. Again, share this video with those that you think may enjoy watching what you watch. Thank you once again, and I'll see you guys next time for more watch reviews and other videos.